If you're traveling solo or just want to meet new people on your next Caribbean trip, some destinations make it easy while others make it almost impossible. After years of exploring the region as a travel writer, I've found 6 spots that are perfect for social travelers and a few you should probably avoid. Let's dive in. Playa del Carmen, just south of Cancun, is a great first place to consider because it's got everything that you'd want. The Cancun area is the cheapest and fastest and easiest to reach Caribbean destination for most Americans and Canadians, but the Cancun hotel zone itself is not the place you want to be because it's all big resorts and timeshares that are spread out and filled with couples and families. If you are a solo traveler or a small group or couple who wants to mingle, the thing you want to avoid are the large resorts where the tables are all spread out and no one sits at the bar. Most of the bigger places seem to be designed that each group has plenty of privacy, which is great if privacy is what you want, but it makes it almost impossible to mingle that way. One great thing about Playa del Carmen, which is about an hour south of the Cancun airport, is that it's loaded with small hotels near the beach and within the busy and fun downtown area centered around 5th Avenue. I strongly prefer Playa del Carmen to Cancun, partly because it actually feels like you're visiting another country and culture instead of just a long strip of identical tourist hotels. In addition to rooftop bars and beach clubs, Playa del Carmen has bars and restaurants all over the area, and the tables are packed in so that sparking up a conversation with your neighbor is almost inevitable. Many of the small hotels serve a free breakfast, and you might find other solo travelers or outgoing guests and make friends before you've even had your morning coffee. Playa del Carmen also has a big selection of all-inclusive resorts, and those tend to be more challenging for meeting people, but a few of them are right in the downtown area so you can still wander around town between included meals. If you're looking for a completely different vibe than Playa del Carmen though, let's head to my next pick. The next place I'd highly recommend is San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is an amazing place for this in several key ways. Unlike almost any of the other Caribbean islands, San Juan is a big city that has just about everything you can think of, and it also happens to be on a gorgeous sandy beach. There are no all-inclusive resorts here, but there are plenty of Airbnbs and other short-term rentals that are quite affordable if you're staying a week or more. There are also loads of small hotels on or just off the beaches, so it's kind of a similar vibe to Playa del Carmen. My favorite part of town is the Condado area, which is the beach community that borders Old San Juan, and this whole area has a reputation for being safe. There are plenty of places close to the beach and all sorts of small restaurants and bars where meeting locals is actually easier than meeting other tourists because thousands of people actually call the area home. In the evening, the area comes alive with local nightlife, and it's easy to mingle with people in the many outdoor bars and cafes. Old San Juan is either a long walk or short shuttle ride away, and it's a gorgeous colonial walled city with great shopping, dining, and nightlife. Again, you'll be surrounded by locals, and interesting ones at that, because it's a very cool part of town. Knowing some Spanish will certainly help, but you won't be the only English speaker there if your Spanish isn't strong. Another amazing thing about San Juan, again, is the quality of the beaches in the city itself. Wide, sandy beaches that aren't covered in rocks or seaweed are actually quite rare in the Caribbean, and the beaches in San Juan are some of the nicest anywhere in the region. And take an easy day trip to El Yunque Rainforest, which is another great way of meeting other people since the tour groups spend most of the day together. Puerto Rico isn't exactly cheap, but it's reasonably priced, and US residents don't even need a passport to visit. But if you're looking for something more exotic and more remote, the next pick could be perfect. If you want to go to one of the smaller Caribbean islands, then it's tricky for socializing because the hotels tend to be privacy-oriented and also quite spread out. There aren't many actual towns of any size on the small islands, and many of them are pretty run down as well. One exception, and my pick for best small Caribbean island for social guests, is Barbados. The main town of Bridgetown is kinda cool and interesting, and there's a cluster of beach clubs on really nice sandy beaches just to the south of that. A bit south of that area is a big cluster of mostly smaller hotels on or near the beach, as well as Airbnbs and restaurants and bars. The beaches along here are really nice as well, and this is an area where you can walk around and meet some locals or other guests pretty easily. That is true of the big beach clubs as well, so Barbados stands out because it's got a walkable area with loads of interesting options. For those looking for a more upscale experience, the area north of Bridgetown is like the Beverly Hills of the Caribbean. The strip along the beach is lined with celebrity beach houses, unbelievably expensive boutique hotels and restaurants, and ultra high-end shopping. You won't meet any backpackers there, but you might meet some famous people. Before I go on, I want to mention that I'm giving away my new ebook to anyone who subscribes to my weekly travel news and deals newsletter. This is Roger from priceoftravel.com, and the ebook has over 240 pages, including lists of all the Caribbean destinations ranked by price and a lot more information. Go to priceoftravel.com/ebook or scan this QR code to go right there. Jamaica is an interesting place, and it's not for everybody, but it could be a great choice for certain types of solo or social travelers. There are 3 main areas where tourists stay on the island, and a lot of little villages in between. Along the northern coast you've got Ocho Rios, which has some really nice beach resorts to go along with a disappointing downtown area and the island's largest cruise port. Montego Bay is where the airport is, and it's also got some really nice resorts and a crappy downtown area, so I really wouldn't recommend either of those for solo or social travelers. It's also worth mentioning that Jamaica tends to be one of the most dangerous of the Caribbean islands, and the shopkeepers and beach vendors tend to be very annoying as well. The one area I do really like as a solo visitor is the third area, which is Negril. Unlike the other areas, Negril has a long, uninterrupted beach lined with a combination of big resorts, small beach hotels, little shops, beach bars, and outdoor restaurants that are unusually social. It also has west-facing beaches, so you'll get gorgeous sunsets almost every night, and those are surprisingly rare in most Caribbean hotspots. You can just wander up and down the beach during the day or in the evening, and you'll be surrounded by a combination of local residents and fellow tourists all along the way. While Negril is one of the most social spots in Jamaica, some solo female travelers might find the vibe a bit intense, so it's worth considering your comfort level. Another edgy pick is up next, and it's one that few people consider when looking for a Caribbean holiday. Our next stop is also the cheapest beach destination on this list, and pretty much also the cheapest beach destination in the Caribbean. Cartagena is the main tourism hub in Colombia, and it's not only cheap once you get there, but inbound flights are also unusually reasonable as well, which isn't true of most Caribbean islands. Cartagena actually has a lot in common with San Juan, Puerto Rico, in the sense that there are nice beaches and beach hotels just a short distance from a walled historic colonial town center that is loaded with small hotels, restaurants, shops, bars, and interesting sights. Being perfectly honest, the beaches in Cartagena aren't as nice or sandy as the ones in San Juan, and the historic district in Cartagena might feel a bit grittier compared to more polished spots, but that's part of its charm. This mix of old-world architecture and modern energy creates a unique vibe. Since almost all of the hotels in both the walled city and the beach area are small and close together, Cartagena is a very social place where meeting locals and other tourists is inevitable whether you want to or not. There are walking tours and bus tours to nearby sites, and those are always great for meeting people because it's one big group who are all together for at least half a day. Well-located and well-reviewed hotels are available on the beach or in town for well under $100 per night, and a taxi ride between the two areas will only cost a few dollars because they're practically walking distance apart. So you can stay in either area and go back and forth as you please. Whether you meet new people or not, Cartagena is a really fascinating and underrated destination that combines a historic city with Caribbean beaches at a surprisingly reasonable price. Now let's finish off with a truly unique destination that's still somewhat under the radar for many travelers, Bocas del Toro in Panama. This last destination has been unknown to most of the traveling public until recently, and it's still considered a secret spot that its fans would rather not get much more popular. Bocas del Toro is an archipelago of 9 islands off the Caribbean coast of Panama, and it's been a big spot for the backpacker crowd and diving enthusiasts for decades, and now more people are checking it out based on the buzz. I actually haven't made it to Bocas del Toro yet myself, although I have been hearing about it for years, partly because they are home to a bunch of small overwater bungalow resorts, and that is another topic that I follow closely. The islands have a reputation for being very casual and very quirky, with small boutique hotels, guest houses, and hostels in place of chain beach resorts like on so many other Caribbean islands. There are 3 main islands, and getting between them is fast and easy thanks to the water taxi system, so visitors can have a custom experience while meeting loads of other travelers and also staying on a fairly low budget. There are many great choices for affordable accommodation, and everything is close to the beach because the islands are so small, but now you've also got some luxury options, including some of the Caribbean's best all-inclusive overwater bungalows that start at around $2,000 per night. Getting to Bocas del Toro requires either a short flight from Panama City or a shuttle and ferry combination from the mainland, so you'll want to plan well ahead, and it's probably not a great option just for a long weekend. But if you want to get here before it gets too well known, now is the perfect time. Thanks for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos about how much things cost around the world.